call me. I'll do everything I want. I'll do everything. Please, just get back home. Please call me back. I love you. Please call me. Please.
That message was sent October 7th, 2013 at 3:39 a.m. I'm archiving this in case it's evidence for the murder of Tiffany Jenks. That message alone breaks my heart. Believe that the dams aren't in any danger as long as it's true Tiffany's dead, which I'll leave the investigators and the public to figure that out because I'm not that wise. But I've been told by at least 100 people that she's probably not even dead. But, you know, putting that aside, because that's...
Yeah, but why should that happen? That's ridiculous. I mean, why? I mean, is she either dead or been shot or not? I mean,
well, I don't know because...
this is the idea.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know because I'm just telling you what other people have told me, that they need her to run the dams. But...
But why would they be saying that she's still, or she can come back, or she's she's dead. She's had her head blown off. How can this be that she'd keep coming back?
Well, it's not my story that she's alive. That's other people's stories, so I can't really say
why. Would you even cling on?
Well, David Icke, for instance, he said that. You know, that oftentimes it's a fake murder. But why do I feel it could possibly be fake murder? Because Tiffany told me on several occasions they were going to take her away, and I would never see her again. Tiffany spoke of multiple worlds. Whatever that means to her, I don't know. See, because I'm all new to this, I'm just stating the facts about what was said.
Multiple worlds, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
I don't have any knowledge about that stuff. I'm just telling you what Tiffany told me.
Yeah.
She said that you have no idea, you know, alluding to the idea that there's multiple worlds. And,
right. Well, I think it's just time for a really quick sort of bit of a short break because we've gone to the preamble to we've gone for a preamble to the situation that's happened. But you're now talking about a whole range of different things, which I think would be better in a slightly different part. So let's just break for a minute. And we'll get back. Okay, well, we're back in part 2. So, okay, we talked about the aspects of this being a bit weird and sort of vampire stuff and things like that. I mean, these are aspects of the super soldier side of things. You know, James Casbolt, gang stalking,
ritual abuse.
Targeting individuals, which is really the whole thing about this story. We've got a murder, we've got gang stalking, and we got a death of a really fine girl, very smart, way up there in controlling these dams, a strategic resource of the United States. I mean, something which could be, you know, like another 9/11. A huge situation with regard to how serious this whole thing is. And we got a whole cover up, but you're the guy who's got all the evidence, but nobody's listening to you in the legal side of things. So,
yeah,
so
that's right.
You've edged on this whole thing about, you know, this what the hell was it? The vampire thing. So,
well, you know,
what exactly are you talking about this? This is weird stuff.
Well, Tiffany had talked to her therapist, and you're not the only one that thought it was weird. In fact, when I got the recordings, I did not have a clue what they meant. I just knew that something was wrong with these recordings because Tiffany's talking about dying in the recordings. Okay.
But she's also, there's these taps, Yellow Brick Road and things. Can
yeah.
you explain all that? What do you mean by all that?
Well, Tiffany's therapist, Jonathan Weidman, who she had seen 4 days prior to her murder, said, don't ever tell anybody who you are or it'll make you a target. And targets get shot at first. He went on to say that whatever I tell her, disregard. And she said, well, how can you say that? He can save the world. I mean, she was clearly in love, and the issue is not about me, because the therapist is in the recordings, in my opinion, taking advantage of the situation and or guiding her to her deathbed, or death rather. But he told her, tap, 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 forget who you were from when you were a child. And Tiffany's voice changes to a little baby, and she's
This is a classic instance that an alter has been brought out, isn't it?
Correct. And that's what Clyde Lewis and Fritz Springmeier told me when they heard the recording. So you see, for the average American or the average person in the world, they're not going to know what any of this means, follow the Yellow Brick Road. But when they type in Illuminati, follow the Yellow Brick Road, it's everywhere on Google. You can read about it all day. And so what you have to do in order to get her murder and to get what I'm claiming to be true is just get one thing first. Tiffany's doctor knew she was going to get shot.
If the doctor knows, he must be part of it then.
Unless
sorry,
4 days later,
therapist,
psychotherapist. 4 days later, she was dead. So, if a therapist knows so well that somebody's going to be shot, and 4 days later they are shot, that has to be a clue in her murder.
Yeah.
But the public needs to know that when Tiffany recorded herself on her iPad, it was because she was in fear for her life. Okay?
Yeah.
And when I got these recordings, they did not want the public to hear this. They didn't want the public to know anything.
Well, can you play any of this material?
Yeah, in a second here. Stand by. Next question.
So why did she feel that she had to record these things? Or do you know why?
Well, she knew she was going to be killed. She knew she was going to die. Flat out.
Is that because the therapist said so or what?
Well, here's an example. Okay, so let's play this. Yeah, this is Tiffany's therapist telling her, giving her a death wish. Ready?
What the hell is a partnership?
Look it up on Google.
Really quiet.
You want a specific definition. Let's give you a specific definition.
You're making me
Okay, so in that recording, Tiffany said...
Yeah, could you, if we're going to play...
One more time?
What the hell is a partnership?
Look it up on Google. Let me tell you what it is. You want a specific definition. Let's give you a specific definition.
You're making me feel like really bad right now.
Okay, so the therapist is talking to her about a death wish.
A specific death wish.
4 days before she's shot.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so that's not normal.
You dead right? It's not normal.
And so in addition to that, I mean, and there's... The bottom line about the therapist is this, is that Tiffany knew that she was going to die, and she recorded the fact that she was going to be killed. And so once you know that, then you have to say, okay, why was she going to be killed, and who were the ones that really killed her? Now, what I'm asking the public to understand is this. If you have somebody that is a victim of mind control, all right? I'm going to put this in the background here. If you have somebody that's a victim of mind control, then who's the real killer? The handler? The person that's controlling her? Because the way I see it is that you have 3 people that killed Tiffany, two of them are already out of jail. But the reason why nobody wants to follow up on this case is because one more person passed those 3. And we're going to have some serious heads rolling in America when they find out who actually programmed Tiffany to die.
Well, who is it then?
I don't know. I'm not her handler. But Richard A. Levitt should know. He's the one that seems to be lying about her murder the whole time.
And do you have who this guy is?
I don't have his picture here, but it's Richard A. Levitt. And basically that's Tiffany's handler. And, the bottom line about the murder is that you have people that want to believe or not believe in specific aspects of her case, right? And you have all the hard evidence of, for instance, okay, let's see what this one is here. Okay, so this is a video here I'm showing you of a girl named Drew with her boyfriend Biko is his name, okay? And in this video, they walk to the corner and then they, okay, so I don't know if I have the face forward one here somewhere, probably. Okay, let's see if that's them going the other way. And so Drew and Biko. Now, I hadn't met Drew for 5 months. This is a friend of Richard A. Lovett's, this girl right here. And I have another.
Just do that again. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I have another one forward somewhere. But, and Drew, I had not met for 5 months. You know, I mean, and so the point about that is that she was walking by my store the night Tiffany had been killed. And so I didn't know her at that time. And so, which was quite odd that she was walking by my store.
Now, how did you collate all this stuff?
Well, it was my CCTV cameras. It basically, I hired investigators and had people work on the case for a year. But, I mean...
So there's a year's work here.
2 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, you know, in terms of the clues to her murder, you had... This is a court document here. I had called the district attorney's office, Christopher Ramirez, to give him clues to the murder.
Yeah.
Some of those clues included the fact that Tiffany's therapist, Jonathan Weedman, downtown Portland, gave her a death wish, told her she'll be shot, put her into hypnotism, and Tiffany said and he talked to her about touching her and vampires. Okay, all these things.
Yeah, that's the whole point. This is a section about these vampires.
Right,
This
and so
demonic, parasitic entities of some kind.
And I had, you know, the fact the police had lied. I had lots of clues. So I called the district attorney's office to leave them a voicemail, asking them to at least put on the record my clues, which I had more than 50 facts to her murder. Like, for instance, her killers were parked at the gas station that night. Her killer's car was going around my block. Tiffany told me she was going to die. Tiffany told the bartender she was going to die. Tiffany's therapist talked about her dying and getting shot. I mean, and Tiffany recorded Josh and her in the recording. Josh and her was in her cell phone. And so I had all these clues to the murder. And so I left a voicemail for the DA in this case. And as you see in this, they said they did not know how to transcribe my audio recordings onto the police record. Okay? Let me go back the other way here. 1, 2. So, regarding the message, and doesn't know whether the defense will take any action. I bet they don't. If such a meeting had been conducted in a matter the defense requests a motion, it would likely have caused the meeting to take 10 minutes. Okay? And so it would have been necessary to devise a way to transfer a recorded message from the person's cell phone to the court. So basically what it came is, this is the documents that say, I called the courts didn't know how to transcribe that to the record. So they disregarded my recordings to them.
So the court couldn't take anything off an iPhone?
Well, it wasn't an iPhone. It was a voicemail on their court phone messaging system.
So their own messaging system, they can't get somebody to simply...
According to this,
they can transcribe
couldn't.
what's said in the court, but
Correct.
They can't transcribe what's said in their own
had no idea how to
system.
do that, and therefore they decided to take no action on all 50 clues to her murder.
It's a bit lame.
Yeah, especially when the taxpayers spent $500,000 on this case and they didn't have any of the truths. Now the next part of this case hopefully will cost about $750,000, except the people that were in the first one will be in the second one a little deeper. If you know what I mean.
Okay, what are you talking about in terms of who's going to be nailed on this? Who's the guys that are good? Who are the people that you want in the dock to answer to this crime.
Certainly all the
And this
police that were
travesty-
involved.
This travesty of justice.
Yeah, exactly. It's still a murder. All the police were involved and lied. At least the ones that were on the court documents. The district attorney lied about her murder. The judge lied about her murder. Tiffany's family, primarily her sister, lied about the murder and where Tiffany lived, which was, I mean, it's, if you don't know where the dead girl lives and you're the sister, I mean, and then by the way, Tiffany lived with Tony. Tony's who Tiffany told me was going to kill her. So it's a little weird that her sister is saying that she doesn't live with Tony, you see. So you start to see that cover up right away. And then in addition to that, she's like trying to put me off as the one that killed Tiffany by saying, oh, we don't have any clue where Tiffany was. We just know she had an abusive ex-boyfriend. Me.
So are you being accused of being accused of doing the murder then? Is that
I was at that time, but they never were able to do that because it didn't make sense because too many people knew the real killers were caught. But if you read the court documents, you'll clearly see that in the court documents, everything pointed towards me. In the court documents, 20 pages. It's all about me and my store, me. Nothing about the killers.
So that you were going to be stitched up.
Correct.
And
they would have never.
They didn't quite make it.
No, and then I left the country.
But you are in the United Kingdom at the moment. And,
I am.
You've been to other countries in the world, and I gave you a couple of dimes, and you didn't really want to have those dimes because it didn't give the impression you were ever going to be back in the United States to use them. So,
well, we'll have to see how Trump does. But basically, the term "drain the swamp" has to start right in Oregon. The public has no idea what I'm up against, what Tiffany's case is up against, and how many corrupt, crooked government workers we really have in Oregon. And until the public reaches out and says, we are going to demand that this case be reopened by, you could try to get the FBI to do it. But I mean, the bottom line is, until you have an honest government worker look at this case for even 15 minutes, you're not going to have any, nobody's going to help you.
yeah, but I mean, the context of this is, okay, a murder, it's a terrible murder.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, really smart, intelligent girl.
Yeah.
Who has got so much talent that she's put in charge of one of the biggest dam projects, one of the most strategic resources in the United States.
Correct.
And everybody's sort of saying, nothing happening here, girl got killed, these guys did it, goodbye. Which essentially means that one of the most strategic resources of the United States and the millions of people who would be under threat from this are just simply being ignored.
Well, and the public doesn't know the truth. First...
Well, what is the truth?
Well, they painted her as a drunk loser who lost her way and in one context, but while in the other they're saying, oh, here's this girl that she ran the dams, but she lost her way because her dad died. All that is hogwash. Tiffany was murdered. Her killers are out of jail already. America needs to know that the killer spent 13 months in jail. That included child molestation, which we'll cover that in a minute. But they shot Tiffany in the head and got away with it. Now, if they had taken all my evidence and that was the outcome of the case, so be it. I have no complaint. My complaint is that this exact picture is starts with the very basic concept of why I have a problem. If you're telling me the Multnomah County District Attorney in Portland, Oregon, Christopher Ramirez, whatever his name is, if he totally says he doesn't know how to transcribe my 50 clues to a murder onto the court record, how is the public allowing him to be a district attorney? That's what I have a problem with. And when you have all my clues, like I've gone over some of them, but I have more than 50 total.
Well, why don't you tell us about these clues, or do you want to tell us?
Yeah, no problem. Tiffany had Josh, her killer's cell phone number, in her phone. That's all they need to prove that she knew him. Tiffany recorded herself with Josh because she knew he was going to kill her. That's all they need to prove she knew him. The difference between her knowing him and not knowing him is 25 years to life. That's my complaint. My complaint is, does America want killers out on the loose? And then they're going to talk about gun control? Michelle and Josh took off the serial numbers off the gun that day and then claimed that they were just going to sell it to the shooter. And they did. For $150, they sold him the gun. Now, he says he was set up on the murder too, which I believe him. He was the only one that told the truth. So the clue list can go on forever. Realistically, I have, at this point, 75, 80 clues. But when you talk just about the facts that you need in order to prosecute Josh for Tiffany's murder, you only have to ask, did Josh know Tiffany? Was she set up on murder? Let me ask you this. If Tiffany left my house telling me she's going to die, does that tell you she knows she's going to die? And if she does die, does she know her killers, presumably? Or at least the bigger conspiracy gets even bigger then. But Tiffany told me she was going to die, and then she died. Tiffany told the bartender that night she was going to die, and then she died. So does that tell you she knew that she was going to die?
It seems that maybe that she knew that she was going to die.
Correct. And that's all that matters. You could get into tons more clues and maybe just confuse people. But when I called the district attorney's office in Multnomah County, Portland, Oregon, Christopher Ramirez, and I said, sir, Tiffany knew her killer. His name's Joshua Robinette. Tiffany recorded him in audio. I have it, and it's there for you. Tiffany had his cell number in her phone. Tiffany talked about her dying with her therapist. How is none of that a clue to her murder? And so what you find is that when you listen to the case from the court standpoint, not one word was ever said about her murder. Not one.
So what I'm doing here, I'm trying to be deliberately on a level which is just, this is so fantastic. I mean, I understand about mind control, I understand about programming, about alters. A lot of the basis audience understands this completely. What I'm trying to get down to is why the relevant people on the ground and the witnesses and the perpetrators have not been arrested. I mean, I'm not convinced that they can be so bad or evil that they can't collectively be. I'm being blocked on this. For something's blocking me on this, so I'm finding it very difficult to. What's blatantly obvious is that this is a conspiracy, and there's a girl who's been murdered, and there's a major resource in the United States just been left to, well, let's just blow it up or whatever they're going to do. I mean, what do you think what do you think that they could have done in that dam? What could be done with those dams, and what damage could be?
Well, we look at the most recent damage to the Orville Dam in California, in America.
Now that had an overspill, which
that was a very minimal. That had a breakage of the concrete of the overflow tunnel of about 300 feet by 12 feet, I believe. So 300 feet by 12 feet is broken, damaged permanently.
Yeah.
Now, what possibly could have been done is millions of people could be killed. I mean, if you want to talk hypothetically.
Dams, I mean, we haven't got. Do you have a picture of these dams?
No.
Okay.
No. But the Grand Coulee Dam and the Bonneville Dam is huge. And my point is that they control the lives of millions and millions of people. Now, I'm not claiming...
I mean, we're talking electricity here, we're talking about water and everything.
Yeah, and insider trading, as she was involved in insider trading also.
The insider trading.
Yeah. Tiffany told me that...
was Tiffany involved with insider trading?
Yes.
Okay.
Tiffany told me that she was instructed to do this by her superiors at the Bonneville Power Administration, which is a U.S.-owned, publicly owned and traded, a publicly owned entity. It's basically the government, okay? Corps of Engineers and whatnot.
Yeah.
But so what Tiffany told me is that she would take and write down a number on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And on the other side of the glass window there were traders. And she would take that number and pass it through a hole in the window because she wasn't allowed to talk to them.
Right.
I said, well, Tiffany, as a trader myself, that's insider trading. She said, no, it's not, because I don't talk to them. I said, Tiffany, that's insider trading. You have a benefit, and you've given that benefit to them. Give that benefit to me, and I'll trade on the markets. Okay? Oh, I can't give you that. Well, duh, you just told me you are involved in insider trading. if you give the traders on the other side of the glass information that you're going to do about changing the water, it appears to me, and believe me, I'm not the telltale, it's not my industry. I don't know, maybe that they're allowed to day trade energy after Tiffany raises or lowers the water levels. Maybe that's part of what they do.
Now, these water levels are crucial to electrical generation.
100%.
And so, therefore...
all the electricity in all of California, this makes Enron look like a peanut. The Bonneville Power Administration creates billions of dollars worth of power a year. And the taxpayers and the ratepayers are getting bilked out of millions of dollars. Factually. That's just the truth. Now, if there's something that I don't understand and somebody wants to explain it to me, that's fine. But what I'm telling you for sure, this is what Tiffany told me herself. And I'm not saying this is why she's dead, but it certainly could be. What I'm saying is, Tiffany told me, John, I write down numbers before or after I raise or lower the water levels of the dams. I take that piece of paper, and because I'm not allowed to talk to people on the other side of the glass that are traders, I hand them a piece of paper with numbers on them.
Was this actually in the power station?
Yeah, downtown, and almost in downtown Portland, the Bonneville Power Administration has their main office in Portland, Oregon, that controls 21 dams on the Columbia River, which makes up nearly, I would say, all the power for California and Nevada, or something like that, Washington, Oregon, so on. Hydroelectric dams. But my point about that is that in her job, she would write those numbers down and give them to the traders before or after she raised or lowered the water. And if there's something I'm missing here, fine. But I told her, and I'm not the professional here, the FBI should be doing, or FCC, I believe it is.
No, well, FCC's radio and broadcasting.
Okay, but I believe they handle...
Whatever the trade...
Yeah, so, yeah. But the agency that handles insider trading should be looking into this. And if Tiffany indeed is giving them numbers and they're trading on the open market for the commodity of water, or excuse me, electricity, rather, then, that's insider trading. Because I can't have the numbers also.
In other words, you're when you say you can't have it, you're talking to the outside people.
Correct. Anybody else? I mean, the little old lady down the street that can't afford her electric bill, give her the numbers before you give these scumbags the numbers and allow them to trade water on the open market, or trade electricity on the open market. Now, how is it possible that they're trading? She's not allowed to talk to them, but she can write it down.
Well, talking to them, she's passing the information still. Obviously.
Oh, but the technicality, you never know. I don't know the technicalities. It's not my department, but the FCC, I believe it is, that handle.
I don't know.
I believe they handle.
I don't know. I
whoever handles insider trading needs.
Well,
to
the Federal Communications Commission.
Yes.
Is
they need to handle this, because the bottom line is the little old lady who can't afford to have her electric bill running. That's why, because these scumbags are costing our rates to go up. That's why insider.
How did she? When she said she controlled the.
It's all computerized. She's in a room with 40 computers and by herself, or one or two other people at the most. And she is one of 4 people or 5 people that control the waterways at the Bonneville Power Administration. So they call it, she called it running the river, as her mom said too. But basically, she controlled by computer the dam levers to make the water go up and down. And I'm not saying there's not safety provisions in place for, catastrophic disasters.
Yeah.
But what I am saying, though, is without a doubt, Tiffany is a mind control victim. Does the public want somebody under mind control running the dams? It's not up to me to decide.
Is that why she's running the dams? Because she is controllable. That's the whole point. So who controlled her? Who put her in there to start with? I mean, that's...
Donald Trump needs to answer this question, because it's over my pay scale. All I know is this. If you're talking about a mind control victim, and you are, running the dams, the American public is going to be outraged that this safety concern has gone. And this is why it's key. Why do you think I had to leave America? My recordings of her doctor talking to her about the dams, or my recordings of Tiffany talking to her therapist and him telling her she's going to die and that nobody wants to know the truth about her murder, is a telltale sign that something's wrong with the insider trading, the dams, and the mind control. Okay? They are covering up the facts of this murder. Now, if they had come to me and said, we know you have clues to her murder. We know that she told you she's going to die. We know that the bartender knew she was going to die, and we're going to tell the courts.
Yeah.
We're going to tell the police are going to tell the truth. And I wouldn't have had a problem at all. I wouldn't even be here today. What I have a problem with is, what is the risk to America, and why are they covering up every single part of this murder? It's not about John. They can demonize me all they want. Great, go ahead. I'm not America. I'm just an American. Native American, to be exact. And the bottom line, in my opinion, what I feel is, if you don't tell the truth about her murder, and she did insider trading, and she was under mind control, and nobody's going to jail for her murder, that's more than I can take. So I'm going to tell the truth. And I don't think that's wrong.
Ultimately, where do you think this is going? I mean, do you think there's an actual disaster about to happen?
Well, I think the people in Orville, California would probably say, yes, there's a problem. Now, to what magnitude could somebody affect the dams in America? What I've learned by other people that know more than me, but what I've learned in the past 3 years is America had better wake up. You've got vulnerability everywhere in our infrastructure, and more importantly than that, you have the top person under mind control. And I know that America, he, mind control. Tiffany, at 33 years old, was in control of 21 dams on the Columbia River waterway system. We can see the devastating effects of the Orville Dam simply just deteriorating. And 180,000 people were evacuated like that. And that's because they were smart enough to figure out that there was a problem and got the people out of the way. In the event that there is, and I'm not saying there is, that's up for the FBI and the CIA and the BIA and all them to investigate, not me. I'm not the investigator here. Trump needs to investigate it, not me. Okay? But all I'm telling you is, here's the facts. Something's wrong. There's a reason they're trying to shut me up in America, and I'm not having it. And the thing is, why should I have to shut up about a murder when everybody's lying but me? I have no reason to lie. I'm saying Tiffany was under mind control running the dams. The rest of it comes in a long discussion, and it should be before Congress. Jason Chaffetz and Trey Gowdy, or even the Oregon senators, which I went to go see them, but that's worthless. Oregon is so corrupt in its government that you can't tell the truth to my government. I mean, look here. Here's an example of corruption at its best. They didn't know how to transcribe my audio of 50 clues to her murder into the court docket. Now, if taxpayers think that's okay, so be it. I don't think that's okay. If that district attorney is that crooked that he can't write down what was said, John said this. She had Josh's phone number in her phone. Tiffany, therapist, put her under mind control, told her she was going to get shot. Tiffany's therapist said, here's a death wish, and so on and so on and so on. But my point is, when you have that level of incompetency in the courts, that makes you take a look at the rest of the case. And that's what I did. I looked at the rest of the case and I said, why is this stuff happening? Okay, let's put it on here for a second on this video.
Recording, so. This looks like a Washington plate, doesn't
Let's
it?
switch to that.
What's happening?
Well, what you have in this video recording is
This is one of your cameras.
yeah, this is my camera outside my store, and this is the day Tiffany died. I wanted to give this to police. Of course, they weren't doing their job. This is a cell phone recording of the original, so clearly the video is not clear, but this is where the FBI could clearly show this. What this gentleman is doing here in this video is he's got the two guns outside my store that are going to kill Tiffany that night. For 45 minutes outside my store, this gentleman proceeds to remove the serial numbers off of the guns that are going to kill Tiffany, and
you can see that. You can just about see the hand moving in there. Is that what they're actually?
He sits there for 45 minutes and cleans off every possible part of the gun here that's going to kill Tiffany. Now, when I presented the evidence about this to the police, okay, every time they investigated this case, they only asked me questions to know how to stop me from investigating, okay? And so, let me get past the glare part here. I think it gets better. But But this is where the FBI could enhance this video at any time.
And you still have the
the original hard drive, yes.
The recordings, yeah.
The actual DVR, yeah. And so, you know, and keep in mind, I'm not the investigator for this case, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you for sure, this guy is involved in her murder. In addition to how I know he's involved in the murder is because he gets a text message in a minute from the car that's involved in her murder, and he backs up and waits for that car, and then they pull around the block together.
Now, how do you know this text message is happening? Where did that?
Oh, you'll be able to see it in the video here coming. Let's see here. Let me fast forward that. Yeah, you see how he just sits there for 45 minutes and does that. And there's pretty clear shots of him doing what he's doing, wiping off the gun and everything, right? This is not the clearest of them all, but I'm just telling you that...
The thing which gets me is it seems rather strange that this guy's doing that.
He doesn't know that there's a camera there.
You sure of that? Are you positive about that?
I'm positive, 100%. He doesn't know. He has no idea that there's a camera there. And... and so, yeah. And then what happens in a minute in the video is he gets a text. Okay, it might not be in this one, but it's in the next one there or whatever. Okay, so, and what happens is this guy here, okay, let's see here. Fast forward.
I don't know if I like that kid with that guy.
Yeah, I know, and that's...
it looks a bit dodgy.
Well, you can see what happens here is that they say, hey, there's a camera up there, and he looks up at the camera. First he looks at my store, and then he looks up the camera and yanks the kid back and says, they're yelling at him, hey, there's a camera. And he looks up and he goes, come on. The kid looks up too, and he yanks the kid's, what? Why are you doing that? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Watch this.
But
hey, there's a camera above your head. They turn
it goes right in line with what was said about
Hey,
them molesting the kid.
What?
You know.
What?
What? There's a camera right there.
Camera.
So he yanks the kid's hand.
Wait,
Come on,
yeah.
let's go. Oh.
But he was also looking at the truck.
Yeah, but watch out.
Yeah, the guy with the gun. Well, that's probably the guy that yelled at him. And so, oh, here's the front one of Drew. This is Crystal Joy Andrew, a mind control victim out of California. This is the front picture of them. I know her personally, and I met her 5 months after. I text this video to her boyfriend on the left side, and he confirmed that indeed that was him. His name is Biko, and he asked me, hey, how did you get that? And so Crystal or Joy Andrew, whom I did not meet for 5 months, but she's wearing the same boots I've always seen her in, and she's also holding a coconut water, and she has her hair done in ponytails, and she's 30 years old. And so I've known her for quite some time. She's the only girl I know that wears big, tall boots like that with a dress like that. But my point about that is he confirmed to me that that was him. Now, I did not meet her until 6 months after the murder. They sent her to me in order to try to ruin everything that I owned in terms of evidence. And they did for the most part.
How did that work? How did that not happen then?
Well, because I had so many backups everywhere on iClouds and iTunes and every possible angle everywhere.
You don't have to tell everybody where you put
sorry.
them.
Yeah. But I had lots of backups.
Watching, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, true. I have
So you
backups
didn't put them
everywhere
on
in the
iCloud
world.
and iTunes. So
No, I put
if
them at
they
your
were to
house.
Look at your account and
I put them
get
at your
all that.
house. Well, it wouldn't matter now. I got backups all over the world. I made a very good point of giving backups to every single thing, to every single person I know around the world. And with YouTube, I did that too. So, yeah.
So where can people see all this online?
They can go to Tiffany Jenks Murder on Facebook.
Yeah.
They can go to John S. Captain. They can go to Tiffany Jenks on Google, and all the videos come up. And certainly I've done shows with Richi Allen Show, West of the Rockies, Clyde Lewis, Clarity After Dark, and shows in America. So.
And you're looking to do this with the big guy, the big Alex Jones.
Alex Jones, yeah, I'd like for him to know. Because I believe that the safety of the dams... Oh, you know, I know people can't read my writing, but I want to show... This is the absurdity of the... This was just something I was writing one day. And I wanted to show the relation to, okay, so the three killers go to the club at 12:03.
Yeah.
Tiffany leaves the bar, or leaves the hotel to go to the club at 12:01. The three go to the bar, and the three killers, this is all CCTV camera footage from the police report. The three go to the Mystic Bar at 12:58. Tiffany tells the bartender at 1:01, her life is over, they're going to kill her. Tiffany goes outside at 1:43, and the three killers go outside at 1:41. So those are the event lines that I wanted to show how absurd it was that those are just random numbers, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're within minutes of each other. And here's the thing.
I mean, the bottom line is Tiffany, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Walked to her death.
Correct, under mind control.
Yeah.
And that's just one more step to a person that was a victim of mind control. And so it's not even just that her killers are out of jail in 13 months. It's not just that she's a mind control victim and murdered. It's not just that her therapist told her she was going to die and mind control proof is in his recordings. It's that she ran the dams. Why would Americans allow a mind control victim to run the dams? There's only one reason, Miles.
They don't know and don't care.
They don't know. No, they care. Trust me. You got 5,000 cult members trying to stop me, maybe more.
5,000 cult members of what?
The Illuminati, New World Order.
Yeah.
Trying to stop me
How
from...
do you know it's 5,000 as opposed to
I just
4,000?
pick a number.
Okay.
Just a random number. But they're all trying to stop me from telling the truth in this murder. And then you have me and Tiffany. Tiffany's dead. And I'm left to go, does America care? Does America care she's under mind control? Does America care that this girl was shot and her killers got 13 months? They have to. I have to believe they care. And if they don't, I'm sadly mistaken. America's in a lot worse shape than I thought. But Donald Trump needs to help this case. Alex Jones needs to help this case. Steve Bannon needs to help this case.
Well, how do you think they're going to know about it? What do you think would make them?
I don't want
to do this. I mean,
I think. Well, I think that if America, somebody in America is going to see this and go, okay, let me get this straight. She's under mind control. She's running our dams. I get why John is concerned. How could you not be concerned that Tiffany was running the dams under mind control? Now, is that a far leap for most people? Yeah, I get that. I get the idea.
The most important thing is that is convincing people that this kind of mind control happens in the first place, but also that Tiffany wasn't just some kind of a girl who just got into trouble with the wrong kind of people.
Well, okay.
I mean,
She wasn't
a cigarette. I mean,
she wasn't that kind of person the day she was running the dams, right?
Yeah.
So all that really matters are the facts. Tiffany was in full control of the dams. How did she get to this spot? Doesn't matter. She was running the dams. Okay.
I mean, if you do in the United States, there's lots of background checks on people. You have drug tests.
She has huge. She was way highly Secret Service type background checks.
So why weren't all these other people's Secret Service ties and checked the people? I mean, why aren't the Secret
weren't in her
Service
life
involved with this?
Why aren't they? Good question. Why isn't the B. Bonneville Power Administration stepping up their security and asking me, okay, John, we're not her family. We're not here to have that argument with you about why they want to cover up this murder. We just want to know about the safety of the dams, you see. And why aren't Native Americans, because I'm Native American, right? Yeah. That's how I got my last name, Captain. As an Eastern Shawnee tribal member, why are other Native Americans not coming forward and researching what I know about the safety of dams in America? That's our America. Okay, the Native Americans, that's our country, long before America came along and stole it. Yeah. So that point I'm making is Native Americans need to care. A, I was set up on a murder. B, I have no way to tell the truth in this case. Yeah. And C, nobody cares Tiffany was under mind control running the dams so far.
Well, is if the reason why nobody cares is because they can't connect A, the mind control, and B, what relevance that has with the control of the dams. There's too many steps here that ordinary people...
Okay, I give you that.
People who don't have any foresight.
If these people are truly sinister and they will lie about this girl's death, do you think they'll lie about the dams? If they're willing to lie about her murder, will you go with me and say, you know what? If they are willing to lie about her death, I wouldn't doubt if they'd lie about the dams.
Well,
That's
what
the
about,
problem I have.
Getting the dams inspected, or who would inspect them? Or
Well, the inspection has nothing to do with controlling them. And listen, I'm not the one that should be able to tell the public what possibly could have happened. If you have Saddam Hussein in charge of the dams,
yeah,
what could he do? I don't know. I've never been at the lever controls of the dams. What about the insider trading? Okay, it's a whole nother subject. But my point is, what's possible? God only knows. Look at how they treat Trump. I mean, it's absurd.
Well, ultimately, what in a nutshell, if in closing on this part, is there any further material you want to show? Is there anything?
Yes.
Anything that
After we log off, I will provide you with the audio that the therapist, and that's a key to this murder. I think that.
Well, could you actually describe this? Because,
yes.
And
yeah. And
what's
then
happening with
so.
this?
What's happening is the therapist, who's a current therapist, is talking to Tiffany about getting shot. And he says to her, tap, 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 and follow the yellow brick road. That is programming for mind control. Right after he does that, her voice changes to a baby, and she says, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And so that mind control. Now listen, nobody has to believe anything.
I think other people have seen this with Britney Spears.
Correct.
There's issues with Britney Spears doing that, I think, on live television.
It's time for America to get mind control. They just had a shooting in Florida at the airport. They had Gavin Long shooting in Baton Rouge. They had so many proven facts to mind control. And Kathy O'Brien. I mean, seriously, just go look up Kathy O'Brien if you want to know about mind control.
Have you talked to Kathy O'Brien about this?
I talked to Kathy O'Brien and Mark Phillips
looked at
both.
the case at all? Yeah.
They are not allowed by law to look at cases, and they're not allowed to, by law to comment, although they did provide me with a lot of good information.
Why are they banned by law?
Because they took a plea deal with the government to become protected witnesses. And unfortunately, but I would like to make a point about Mark Phillips. Mark Phillips did, if I would have done what Mark Phillips did to Tiffany, what he did for Kathy O'Brien, Tiffany would still be alive. So I want to applaud him for not allowing Kathy O'Brien to, and I know that sounds weird for people, but not allowing her to speak freely to strangers like me.
Yeah.
But I did reach out to them. They did talk to me many times, and but they're not allowed to speak in public about their beliefs of other cases by law. And so, but yeah, I mean, they were very helpful.
I mean, they can speak about their own case, but
very limited.
Can they do that now?
No, not much. But her case is out there, and that's what's important.
She's on YouTube. She's been on Coast to Coast.
Correct.
She's been at
Yeah,
UFO
there's
Congress.
not even a question that she's a real victim of mind control. And but my point about that is they're limited on how they can assist others like myself.
Have they basically been?
Yes, exactly. Shut up. Yeah.
Shut up.
That's right.
No,
And they tried to do that to me, by the way. America needs to know that. They took me to the highest levels of court in Oregon, or at least all the way up to the Court of Appeals, and I won the case. You can look it up under Captain, Oregon Court of Appeals, last name Captain. And it said specifically that my rights were all violated, and it was reversed and remanded back to the lower courts and then later dropped. But they do not want me to tell the truth. And when I got that court case resolved, that's why I'm able to talk to you today about it, because it was reversed. But they lied like crazy trying to shut me up.
Have they tried to kill you?
No.
Have you had any sort of threats?
Yes,
as such?
many from her family. Said, you better be careful. Interpol, police.
From her family, why are they not trying to find the truth about what happened to their daughter?
Because they don't want to know the truth. They want it to be a secret. They do not. Richard Lovett, who's Tiffany's handler for the New World Order mind control program, he has started his own website, which I can refer people to. Check it out. It's called The Simple Truth About Tiffany Jenks' Murder. But there's not one simple truth in there. But Richard Lovett is Tiffany's handler, and of course he's going to say that. He has lied every second of the way, including to the judges, to the police, trying to stop me from telling the truth on her murder. And but why don't they want the truth told? There again, why? Why would they not want the truth told about her daughter? Why would they not want to get the killers for jail? The 2 of the 3 killers got out in 13 months with a $200 fine. That's not okay.
Okay, who benefits by keeping the case the way it is, and who benefits?
Well, her sister collected donations for the murder to solve it, but of course didn't use 1 penny to get my clues. Tiffany was to receive millions of dollars, her portion, and of her dad's will. So financially, I would assume, and I never saw her will, which I asked for twice, but I would assume her family would have the most to gain from her death. And in terms of, I don't know. That would be who? Her family would be the only ones.
It's always a case of who benefits with these things.
Correct. You would think so.
But as such, are the dams safe at the moment? Or is there,
I don't think there was.
Is there another Tiffany that's in there now? That's
well, I know that her ex-boss is involved in this cover-up also, and he ran the dams originally, and Daniel DeWitt, and he ran the dams before Tiffany. He lied about her murder, and I met with him to show him clues, of which he tried to act like they weren't clues, but that's just a lie. And but in terms of the dam safety, if somebody is a mind control victim, and the safety of the dams is now no longer in their hands, then you have to go to the next step. Whose hands are they in?
Yeah.
That's the whole point. If it's true, Tiffany Jenks' handler is Richard Lovett, and that person is willing to lie about her murder, you ask the question of what safety do the dams have today? They're only as good as the liar who had control of them before.
Well, yeah.
So, I don't know.
So, I mean, this
it's not up to me to decide. That's where the FBI,
this is all very serious stuff.
Yeah, it's serious stuff. And Donald Trump needs to be involved in this, really, because he's the only one who has enough understanding of this whole scenario to where, oh, okay, so they're all lying about the murder. Let's put 2 and 2 together. You're lying about the murder. Tiffany's dead. She ran the dams. What's the outcome? I don't know.
Well, at the moment we've got dams which are intact, things are okay.
Yeah, I have no reason to believe anything's at risk.
A young woman has been very tragically murdered.
That's right.
Head blown off, and I mean, when somebody's saying that they have got when somebody's saying that they're going to die, and their therapist is saying they're going to die.
Yeah.
One part of them is screaming out for help here to say, look, help me, and this is going to happen. It did happen. So there's obviously something really seriously wrong here.
Yeah.
And how can people contact you or help you, or do you need donations or anything like that?
No, I don't need money. What I need is Alex Jones, Donald Trump, and I need Steve Bannon. I need people who can write, because I can't write well. They use that to their advantage, by the way. They know I can't write well, and they use that, ADHD is one of those things where, you're not really organized with stuff, and they use that. They love that. So I need help with organizing this case. I would like to get a real lawyer, if that's possible. I think that's probably...
Well, that's money. That's real money there.
Yeah, I know, but that's life. And I don't mind, but I want a real one, Yeah. And then the other part of this is that people can go to Facebook and John S. Captain and Tiffany Jenks Murder and TiffanyJenksMurder.com. That's how they can get a hold of me, is both by just doing a simple Google search. And just so that in closing, none of this story is about me.
Yeah.
They want so badly to make me, just like they did Fritz Springmeier, make me a bank robber, pedophile, robber, thief, crook, whatever. They're going to do anything they can to stop me.
Yeah.
But it's Tiffany's story. Tiffany's the one that died. Tiffany's the one that deserved justice. And that's what I'm fighting for, her case.
Before we go, you did mention Fritz Springmeier. I mean, he's as a mind control author, some very good books there, but you're not necessarily saying he's whiter than white.
No, he's a thief and a liar. He's not a Christian. Because how that played out was, in fact, Kathy O'Brien pegged it perfectly. She told me, John, be super careful about who you talk to, including Fritz. Be super careful about who you talk to, because right now you're extremely vulnerable and people will take advantage of you.
You have a clip of Fritz there. Can you play that?
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah, and so what had happened was I traveled to New York.
I mean, this is terrible because I mean, you admire people like Fritz, and he's written some really great books. And do you think he's been turned, or do you think he's or something?
Well, first of all, let me say this:
for him, for anybody in this business, and this happens to me, it happens to an awful lot of people. You know, it's easy to throw mud, and I don't want to throw mud, but
no, it's not mud. It's true.
Yeah,
this is not my opinion.
This is very sad.
Because you know how many other mind
but
control
I'd still
victims?
buy his book.
Yeah, his
The
book
books
is
are good.
Yeah, there's no question about that.
Yeah,
bushes,
okay, let's
but
just
any
run out.
field with grass and a few bushes at night would function and look about the same. It's not going to look differently. You know, if you're driving in the country, one mile looks the same as another mile.
Yeah.
And
David Douglas Park will work good for that. I'm sure he's familiar with it.
so it, you know,
Or Louisville Park.
in the
Does he know he's been
official
recorded here?
version,
Yeah.
they spouted, and this is what really is irritating to someone like myself.
I don't know. It's my
who's a
office.
truth
I'll
lover,
record all I want.
Is that the police would talk to the news media, and the news media then ran with whatever the police gave them. But
He's
what
talking
did
about
the
the murder
police
of
do?
Tiffany in
The
this.
police just repeated Michelle, who was one of the murderers, garbage, and she talked for 7 hours in her interview with them,
Okay, and
straight
there's one more
garbage.
here.
And so what she said was,
where we're talking,
is when they got
and in this one here, this is my messy office, and
So he knows there's a camera running. You've just
Yeah, I
walked away from actually.
yeah, I just hit record.
Yeah, okay.
And I do remember
And we're talking about the case.
that too, because I didn't know that medicine caused it. So, don't be sorry. Because see,
We're watching specific video of the murder.
I didn't know. 5 days in a row.
And on what context are you recording this? Is it for use for this, or you just record it anyway?
Well, no, I recorded
Because had seizure
a bunch of stuff about the case as we went along through talking. But
medicine to take care of yourself for the run. I didn't know the outcome of it because you were.
anyway, so that's that. But so my point was that what happened was I went to New York City to look for help for Tiffany's case, and unbeknownst to me, I had asked Fritz to make my store deposits. He did not. He kept them. He then came to my office after I returned 35 days later. He had spent all my store deposits for a month.
That's a lot of money.
$34,000 he took.
That's a.
Yeah, it's horrible. And he said, well, I had to pay my taxes and my rent, and I had to buy a car. So, but anyways, bottom line is, I don't. It doesn't matter because I have other things I had to worry about. But most importantly is
Is something? Did he do it for payment or something like that? Is there something?
well, he can claim whatever he wants, but I'm sure he'll claim that, right?
Yeah.
But what really matters most is that I was able to find out about Tiffany's life by reading his book, and that told me everything. Once I found out Tiffany was a mind control victim by Clyde Lewis and Fritz Springmeier, and then providing that stuff with David Icke and Kathy O'Brien and whatnot, and 10 others, in America.
I'm not sure. Have you talked about your experience with David Icke and getting to New Zealand?
I talked a little bit. It was basically that I got held up in immigration for 4 hours because I was going to see David Icke by the U.S.
And when
government.
was
This was 6 months ago,
Oh,
so it
right.
would have been in the
really.
year 2016. And I went to go see David Icke in New Zealand. I didn't tell anybody I was going. I booked his ticket and my airplane ticket 3 hours before my flight departure.
Yeah.
So clearly they were monitoring everything I was doing. I was in Kuala Lumpur and they handed me a cell phone and said, it's New Zealand immigration. So as an American, what had happened was I booked a ticket online. It went all the way to America.
Yeah.
America contacted New Zealand
Yeah.
to tell New Zealand to contact me at Kuala Lumpur airport. 30 minutes before my flight, New Zealand immigration wants to know why I'm going to see David Icke.
And this obviously doesn't happen to every single individual who's going to see David
Well, I
Icke.
spent 3 hours or more with them in immigration trying to explain to them why I wanted to go see David Icke. I said, because, you see, the government's corrupt, the government's lying about murderers, the government's cheating us, and we're all just basically, you know, loser cows, or whatever you want to call us, sheep. And
Sheeple.
yeah, and I want to see his take on all of this stuff, corruption that's going on in the country, in America. So I went there, and it was very enlightening. I learned a lot. I learned a lot from his show. And I met with him privately before the show, and he took
Is there anything you want to say?
Well, he just told me that Tiffany was a classic monarch slave for the New World Order, and that he listened to the recordings. His mouth dropped, and when he heard the tap, 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 follow the old brick road. And, and he said it was typical mind control programming. We spent 30 minutes. I gave him full copies of all the evidence in her murder. And he said...
And is that available on his website or anything else?
I don't think so, because he's been on tour now since that time. He's been really busy. Yeah. He did refer me to Richi Allen. That's on his show,
right?
Richi Allen show.
And what date, if people want to go to the show?
Just type in Tiffany Jenks, Richi Allen. It's the first one that comes up on Google, the Richi Allen show. There's like 80...
Well, it would be now, probably.
It's the first one.
3 months' time.
Well, but I mean, it's the first one if you type in Google Tiffany Jenks. And there's about 80,000 views on it already, so there's a lot of people that are interested in the story. So, yeah.
Well, this is enormous. It's a huge case, and you're really fighting to get this case dealt with. Is there any final words that you want to tell people? How they contact you, or what can they do to help in any way, or is there anything people can do to help?
Well, I mean, certainly by duplicating the evidence in her murder. I don't need money. I just need people to care. And I think that's the greatest part. And in addition to that...
How do they get the evidence for the case? How do they do that?
Go to my Facebook page, John S. Captain, and Tiffany Jenks Murder on Facebook. And the key to this is that it's not my story, it's Tiffany's. Yeah. And so if they can find a way to leave me out of the argument, because I'm the messenger.
Yeah.
Now, they can beat up the messenger. I don't care. They have been. They can say whatever they want.
Yeah.
But I have no goal other than getting justice for Tiffany.
Okay.
So past that, if they just help by doing that, if they investigate the case and write it in logical ways, then that helps me by posting it online. So that's the main part. If they repost her story online, just the facts, that's all I need.
Well, thanks for coming.
You.
This is a huge case. We're putting this together. This is a live record. Hopefully we'll get something together very soon.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Miles.
Well, thanks very much, and we'll put this out. I don't know what basis number is going to be, but thanks from the studios here in Devizes. A bit of a makeshift affair here. There's nothing like a take 2 when you can have a take 3. And all the best, and let's wish Tiffany, wherever she is, all the best.
Yeah.